Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for another episode of Lenovo Live here at NRF 2023. It's a crazy day today. I mean, it is just packed wall to wall with people. And I am super excited about this next topic that we're going to be discussing, which is sustainability. It is, you walk booth to booth to booth to booth, and everybody is talking about sustainability. So I decided to grab two sustainability experts, one of which from NRF themselves, Scott Case and Bettina Hobson, who has been discussing with me sustainability for the past 3 years now. So with much further ado, I want to introduce them both, and let's get this conversation started. Bettina.
Oh, thank you for the warm welcome, Scott. Hello, everyone. And my name is Bettina Hobson, and I work in so many different areas, but sustainable supply chains are my passion and where I work in so many different areas, from fashion, of course, to automotive and many other things, as well as being an educator in the sustainability space. So glad to be here.
Definitely.
And my name is Scott Case. I'm the Vice President for Sustainability at the National Retail Federation. So
you're familiar with this show?
A little bit familiar with the show. So, sustainability has been kind of a personal passion of mine since the mid-90s. I've managed to play in all sorts of different spaces in the sustainability world. NRF is by far the coolest spot because retail really is the center of a lot of what's happening. It's kind of where consumers meet supply chains. So I get to talk about sustainable retail, which is really all about sustainable retail is about sustainable suppliers, sustainable supply chains, and sustainability-focused data that enables all of that stuff to happen. So thrilled to be here, Scott.
Well, it also enables the customer to have that experience. So the consumer-facing experiences by all these exhibitors that are here that are contributing to that space, whether it's storefront or online. So I know you get to see some of that firsthand.
So much fun, absolutely.
Yeah. So first off, I think for all of our audience that's not attending today, Scott, could you walk us through some of the topics, like the main NRF-focused topics here from a high level, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, and what NRF itself is promoting from a sustainability topic?
Yeah, very good. Well, I think absolutely everybody knows right now that sustainability is kind of one of the number one kind of global drivers. Retailers obviously kind of see the connection. Their consumers are asking about sustainability. Investors are asking about sustainability. Interesting, suppliers are coming to the retailers and saying, here's our sustainability story. So everybody's kind of talking about it. What NRF is really kind of doing, though, is kind of making sure everybody's talking about it in ways that actually are meaningful and collaborative. Everyone's got their own definition of sustainability. They're looking at this piece of sustainability or that piece of sustainability or this piece of sustainability. What we're trying to do is kind of say, look, this is a system-wide approach. It requires system-wide understanding, system-wide data exchange, so that we can all have a database, a meaningful conversation about sustainability.
I see, and I want to go back to a point you said. You've been doing this sustainability since the 90s. Bettina has brought and shared this book that she has been talking about. You might be familiar with this.
Everyone. That's like, I was one of the early Bibles. Paul Hawkins' work was very influential early on, along with other luminaries like Amory Lovins, who was very involved in this space early on. But I'm a geek. I can go all the way back to some of the literature in the 1960s. None of these problems are new. People have known about all of these issues. What's really happening is awareness is increasing, and the tools that we need to address these challenges are finally entering space.
And I would say, Bettina, you've been mentoring me, 2 years now? I'd say 2-3 years.
Yeah,
seems like you did a good job.
Thank you.
So when you look at this and you hear what Scott says, and it's about the data, and it's all these different pieces, I know your specialty is supply chain. Do you think that that's the root function of where these kind of trends in retail are sitting, and what is a catalyst for more growth?
Well, for sure it is, Scott, but I also want to avoid using the word trend. I know it's kind of the vocabulary that we're using, but this is a behavioral system change that you mentioned, and you and I have talked about this all the time. It's taking these technology tools and empowering people that are using them in order to be able to make a system change. And it isn't new. We've had it since the 70s that I've known about different sustainability initiatives, but we didn't call it that. So yeah, I think supply chains are really what powers, when we map it out and know what our supply chain is doing, and lower tier suppliers and what are they bringing to the table and what's happening in different pockets in the world. And why are we shipping something halfway around the world when we can get it next door?
Yep.
I think New York State is doing a good job of that. This is where we're physically sitting, but other places are coming to the European Union Green New Deal. We're trying to really empower supply chains to move business to do good while still having commerce happen. So it's important.
Now, Scott, do you find as you walk around and speak to people, that people are on target, or for the audience out there, something that we could really look at and hear a lot about is greenwashing? Do you find authenticity in what you're seeing, or is it mostly I'm hitting on, as Tina said, the trends and the buzzwords?
Boy, I love this because these conversations are all kind of part of the same thing. And like, decades ago, 2 decades ago, I wrote something called The Sins of Greenwashing. So that's been something I've focused on for a really, really long time.
You and I have even had these conversations offline. Like,
absolutely.
Did you hear what so-and-so said? That's not true, not what happened. Yeah.
But what's really, I think, important is that, the communication with consumers about sustainability is a long story that goes deep into not the supply chains, but the supply networks. So something that you're communicating to the consumer is going to be accurate and meaningful only if you actually understand all of those impacts that show up in the supply systems. And I think part of the challenge with greenwashing these days, everyone's interested in telling a story. There are a lot of people that are new to sustainability storytelling, and they don't quite fully understand what they need to back up and demonstrate that they can tell these stories accurately and meaningfully. And so you really need to get the sourcing people, the supply chain people, the procurement people, the marketing people, the store operations people. You need to get all these different roles within the retail world on the same page, so you can communicate effectively and accurately and not be accused of greenwashing.
Oh yeah, that multi-stakeholder, multi-pronged approach, whether it's a consumer-facing group, action group, or is it the CFO? Everyone, and we were talking about this off camera, needs to roll in the same direction.
Yep. Now, from an academia standpoint, I know that's where you're very tied to and the different nations that you're working with.
Yes.
Are you seeing that change come from an academic standpoint, or is this leaders in industry that are kind of educating as a way? Like, is there a foundation that's getting built to push this upon the younger generations, or is it kind of a learned behavior type situation?
I think there's, it's a little bit of both. Mm-hmm. We have industry, depending on where it is, whether it's manufacturing or other industries that are a little bit slower. Technology is moving a little bit faster to talk about sustainability initiatives, but I think students don't know how do they apply that. How do they apply that to what they're actually doing? The internship that they have that may not be listed as sustainability. Every job is a sustainability job. So how do we educate those who are working that what they're doing impacts sustainability, whether you're in procurement or you're in logistics or you're at a retail space and you're working in a retail store, you still have a way to impact sustainability, and how do those ways happen is trying to inspire that from my passion for the subject, so that students know that there are actually ways of working that they could change.
Yeah.
So habit changing, forming good habits.
This is the conversation we were having at the NRF Foundation meetings earlier this week. So the NRF Foundation actually works with hundreds of colleges and universities and their students to teach everything you need to know about the retail world. And sustainability was a big part of the conversation. We talked with students about it and the faculty about it, because a lot of the academic literature is a decade behind where retail is at this point.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it's much like the knowledge transfer. 50 years ago, we would double our knowledge every 50 years. Now that's happening every 5 days. And that is where AI, what Lenovo, what I represent, focuses upon, is helping companies reach those new limits at a much more anticipatory speed, that when you come to market, you're already there. You're not trying to play catch up because there's so much work to do.
That knowledge gap.
Yes. So we have decided to help our partners start in the right direction and not play catch up, but rather start where you need to be and just change that fundamental view. Now, there's a lot of conversations coming up over the coming days. Scott will be speaking at many. If you're here, I don't know which ones will be broadcast.
I'm not sure which ones are broadcast either, but we'll definitely be blogging about it, and people can find me on LinkedIn because I love talking about it.
Definitely.
So reach out.
And anybody, leave your comments, reach out and connect with them both. As I said, Bettina has been mentoring me for a number of years now, and I ask her about 100,000 questions a day about sustainability because my brain gets going. But make sure to reach out to all of us, connect, ask questions, follow, like, share, and subscribe to their pages. And Bettina and I will also be joining together tomorrow to talk about an ever-growing topic of reverse logistics.
Oh, awesome.
Yes.
So maybe if Scott has time, he'll jump on.
Yes. If I've got time, I want to be there. That's a big piece of the sustainability world in retail right now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I thank you both for joining us. Everybody out there, we'll see you later.
Bye. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Very cool.
That was
I'm glad
so
we got to hang together.